17-year-old Emily was just an ordinary girl. She lived in a quiet town, loved music, and walked home from school every day. That evening, the sky was clear, the stars were just starting to show, and she had her headphones on, humming to a song. She sent her mom a quick text, "Coming home. Be there in 10." But Emily never reached home that night. As she walked past the empty park, something strange happened. Her phone began to glitch. The screen blinked and her music stopped. She frowned and pulled the headphones off. The air around her felt heavy, almost like the world was holding its breath. Then a soft humming sound filled the silence. It wasn't from her phone. It was coming from above. Emily looked up. A bright light, like a small sun, hovered silently in the sky. It made no sound. It didn't blink or move. It was just there. She froze, eyes wide, heart pounding. Her phone slipped from her hand and hit the grass. Strangely, the phone camera turned on by itself and began to record. The last thing it captured was Emily's face, lit by the light, then a sudden flash, and then nothing. She was gone. The next morning, her mother panicked when Emily's bed was still empty. Her phone was found in the park by a jogger. Police arrived quickly. Everyone thought she had been kidnapped, but there were no signs of struggle. Only her phone and some burnt grass where she had last stood. Her father watched the phone video over and over. The screen showed her face, the light above, then static. And for a brief moment, just 1 second, a dark shape could be seen behind the light. Not a plane, not a drone. Something else. News spread fast. "Teen girl vanishes under strange light," said the headlines. Police searched the area. Dogs refused to go near the burnt spot. One of them howled and ran the other way, tail between its legs. That night, Emily's little brother, Max, had a strange dream. He saw her standing in the woods, barefoot, with her eyes closed. She whispered to him, but not with her lips. The words came straight into his head. "They are not what they seem, don't trust the light." Max woke up screaming. At first, people thought he was just scared. But then other strange things began to happen. Birds stopped flying near the park. People complained about ringing in their ears when they walked by. One man even claimed he saw the same light in the sky again, but it disappeared when he pointed his camera at it. 3 days after her disappearance, a truck driver late at night picked up a strange radio signal. He thought it was just static. But then he heard it. A girl's voice, broken and weak. "Help me, please, it hurt." The voice faded, followed by a high-pitched whine that made his radio explode. Police checked the radio logs. Nothing was recorded. But the man swore on his life it was real. He even drew a picture of the sound wave he had seen flashing on his old radio screen. It looked just like the strange shape behind the light in the phone video. Emily's family refused to give up. Her mother sat outside the park every evening, waiting, hoping. Her father studied the video frame by frame. Her brother stayed quiet, but kept drawing pictures of stars, eyes, and a tall shadow that he said watched him at night. Nobody could explain what had happened. No human could just vanish like that, not without a trace, and certainly not under a silent, hovering light that seemed to erase her from the world. But somewhere, far away, beyond Earth, beyond the stars, Emily was still alive. Or at least part of her was. Emily opened her eyes. Everything was dark. She couldn't move. Her arms and legs were held down by cold metal bands. The air smelled strange, like burning wires and chemicals. She blinked, trying to remember where she was. The last thing she remembered was the light. That bright, silent light in the sky. Suddenly, something moved in the shadows. Shapes, tall, thin, and not human. They had no faces, only smooth gray, skin and glowing eyes. They didn't speak. They only stared. Emily felt her heart race. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. Something was blocking her voice. One of the creatures raised its long hand. A beam of light shined on her head, Her body jerked. Images flashed in her mind, cities burning, people crying, the sound of screaming. But none of it was real. These weren't her memories, these were someone else's. The aliens didn't cut her, they didn't beat her. Their torture was different, they showed her pain through the mind. Emily was forced to feel fear, sorrow, and death again and again. Her brain hurt. Her soul felt like it was breaking. Hours passed, or maybe days. Time didn't exist here. She was trapped in a place where nothing made sense. She saw walls that changed shape, lights that moved like water, and voices that came from inside her head. One day, if you could call it a day, one of the aliens touched her forehead. Something cold and sharp entered her skin. She couldn't see it, but she felt it. A needle, maybe. But it wasn't medicine. It was a machine. It slipped into her brain like a worm and stayed there. After that, everything changed. Emily stopped dreaming. She stopped feeling fear. A strange voice began speaking inside her head. At first it was just noise, but soon the words became clear. "You are the door," it said. "You will carry us. You are the shell." Emily didn't understand, but the more she heard the voice, the more she started to forget who she was. Her memories began to fade. Her home, her family, even her name, it all felt far away, like someone else's life. Sometimes the aliens would gather around her, watching. They studied her as if she were an experiment. Maybe she was. Maybe she had become something else. Something they were building. One time she caught her reflection in a silver wall. Her eyes were different. The color had changed. They were darker now, almost black. And deep inside them something moved, something that wasn't human. One of the aliens leaned close to her. Its eyes glowed brighter. Then, without warning, she saw a planet explode in her mind. A world dying. People screaming. Fire falling from the sky. And behind it all, that voice whispered again, "This is what's coming." Emily wanted to fight back. She tried to scream, to break free, to remember who she was. But her body didn't listen anymore. It was like she was sitting inside her own mind, watching something else take over. Then one day everything went silent. No pain, no images, just darkness. Then a voice spoke, not from the aliens, but from inside her. Her own voice, but different. "They think they control me, but they don't know. I'm learning too." Emily smiled for the first time since she was taken. It wasn't a happy smile. It was cold, sharp, not like her. The aliens didn't notice. They thought the process was working. They thought their experiment was a success, but something was wrong. Something they didn't plan for. Emily's mind had changed, yes. But it didn't break. It grew stronger. She began to understand their language. She began to hear their thoughts. She saw their fear. They were afraid of one thing: connection. A human mind with alien knowledge. A mix of both worlds. It was something they couldn't control. Emily waited. She stayed quiet. She let them believe they had won. But deep inside her, something was waking up. Something that wasn't just human, and wasn't fully alien either. She was becoming something new, something dangerous, and when she returned to Earth, she wouldn't come back alone. It was a quiet night near the woods when something bright crashed into the earth. People nearby thought it was a meteor. The ground shook, and animals ran in fear. Smoke rose from the trees, and a strange sound filled the air, like a low hum, mixed with whispers. A rescue team was sent to check. They found a small metal pod half buried in the dirt. The metal was smooth and shiny, like nothing from Earth. There were no windows, no buttons. Just a strange symbol glowing on the side. 3 circles around a single eye. Then the door opened. A girl stepped out slowly. Barefoot. Her clothes were torn, her skin pale. Blood ran down her arms, but she didn't seem to care. Her face was calm. Her long hair hung wet over her shoulders. The rescue team froze. One of them gasped. It was Emily. They rushed toward her, calling her name. She didn't answer. She didn't smile or cry. She just looked at them with cold, dark eyes, eyes that didn't belong to a normal girl. She was taken to the hospital. News of her return spread fast. Missing girl found after 6 months was on every screen. Her parents rushed to see her. Her mother hugged her and cried, but Emily didn't hug back. She just stared, blinking slowly. Her father touched her face. "Emily, is it really you?" Emily nodded, but she didn't speak. Doctors were confused. Her body showed signs of damage, but she didn't feel pain. Her heart rate was too steady. Her brain scans showed something strange, like there was a second signal inside her mind. Something not human. She began to draw. Circles, lines, strange shapes. She filled pages with them. When the doctors asked what they meant, she finally spoke. "Coordinates." That was all she said. Her voice was soft but flat, empty, as if someone was using her voice like a tool. Back home, things got worse. Emily acted strange. She didn't sleep. She didn't eat much. She just sat by the window and watched the sky. Birds flew away when she came near. Dogs barked at her. One even ran through a window trying to escape. Her little brother Max was scared. One night he saw her standing in the hallway, staring at nothing. Her lips were moving, but no sound came out. He hid under the bed and didn't move until morning. Mirrors cracked when she walked past them. Lights flickered. Phones stopped working when she touched them. At night, she spoke in a different language, whispers that sounded like wind blowing through metal. Her parents didn't know what to do. They told the doctors, but no one believed them. They said Emily had trauma, that she needed rest. But this wasn't trauma. This was something else. Then one night, Emily stood over her sleeping mother. She leaned close and whispered something in her ear. Her mother woke up screaming. "I saw stars, and blood, and something crawling out of her eyes." The family tried to act normal, but every day Emily changed more. Her eyes became darker, her skin colder. Her smile, when it came, felt wrong. Too wide, too empty. One evening, Max followed her to the basement. She sat on the floor, drawing with a piece of chalk. Symbols filled the walls. As he watched, one of the symbols began to move, twisting, spinning, glowing. Emily turned her head slowly and looked at him. "They're listening now," she said. "Don't be afraid." Max ran. Later that night, all the electronics in the house turned on at once. The TV, phones, microwave, even the toys. They all played the same sound, a soft humming, followed by Emily's voice whispering in that same strange language. That's when her father decided to call the police. But before they could arrive, Emily vanished again. This time, she didn't go quietly. The walls were covered in black markings, the windows shattered. And in the middle of the living room stood Emily, with her arms raised, eyes glowing blue. "I told you I would return," she said, "but I didn't return alone." And then she disappeared in a flash of light. Only a burnt circle was left on the floor. What came back from the stars looked like Emily. But it wasn't just the girl anymore. Emily was found 2 days later in the forest, sitting quietly under a tree. Her clothes were torn again. Her hands were covered in dirt and blood, but she had no wounds. She didn't speak. She didn't run. She just looked up at the sky as if waiting for something. When police took her in, she didn't fight back. She walked calmly, like she already knew what would happen. They took her to a special hospital this time, one where strange cases were studied, but no one had ever seen a case like this. Emily was put in a quiet room with white walls. There was only a bed, a table, and a notebook. She picked up a pencil and started drawing the same symbol over and over, a circle inside a square with 2 lines cutting through it. Each drawing looked the same, perfect, like a machine had drawn them. Then the drawing started to move. At first, the doctors thought it was a trick. Maybe Emily was using something hidden. But the papers showed no sign of tampering. The shapes on the page changed positions by themselves. Slowly, quietly, but clearly. Emily watched them with no emotion. The doctors ran tests. Cameras were placed in her room, but every time the drawings moved, the cameras glitched. Static covered the screen. And sometimes, for just 1 second, a strange face appeared on the video. Not human, just eyes, glowing, watching. Emily didn't talk to the doctors. But one night she spoke to her little brother Max when he came to visit. Her voice was low, like a whisper behind glass. "There's something inside me," she said. "It watches everything. It knows what you're thinking." Max looked at her with wide eyes. "Is it an alien?" She smiled, but not kindly. "It's more than that. It's old, older than Earth. They call it a watcher." Max stepped back. "Why you?" "They needed someone soft," she said. "Someone young, easy to shape. But I'm not soft anymore." Emily's powers were growing. Lights flickered when she got upset. She could unlock doors without touching them. One nurse said Emily looked at her and she forgot her own name for 5 minutes. Everyone was scared, but no one knew what to do. Then she started speaking in two voices at once, one her own, one deep and cold. The two voices argued sometimes. One voice wanted to go home. The other wanted to open a gate. The doctors finally told her family the truth. Emily was not just a girl anymore. Her mind had changed. Something else was living inside her, maybe even controlling her. Her father tried to take her home. "We'll figure this out," he said. "We'll help you." But Emily shook her head. "You can't help. It's too late. They already marked this planet." That night, all the screens in the hospital, phones, TVs, monitors, turned on. At the same time, they all showed the same thing. Emily's face, her eyes glowing, and her voice speaking in that strange alien tongue. Then every screen cracked. Emergency lights flashed. People screamed. And in the middle of it all, Emily stood calmly. Around her, the air shimmered like heat on a road. And on the floor beneath her, a perfect circle burned into the tile. She was taken away again. This time by a secret group from the government. Men in black suits, no names, no badges. They called it containment. They said it was for safety. Emily didn't resist. She smiled as they took her away, because she knew something they didn't. She was not the prisoner. She was the signal, and the signal had already been sent. Deep underground in a hidden government base, Emily sat in a glass room. Cameras watched her from every corner. Guards stood outside with guns. Scientists stared at her through thick glass, taking notes. No one dared to enter her room alone. She just sat there quiet and calm. But her mind wasn't quiet. Something inside her was awake now. It moved when she closed her eyes. It whispered when the lights went out. And every time it spoke, something around her broke. A light, a computer, a camera. No one could explain how. One night the power in the base dropped for 7 seconds. That was all it took. Every screen in the base turned black. Then a single image appeared. A strange shape glowing red, spinning slowly. It looked like a signal. Something alive. Something watching. Then Emily's voice echoed through the speakers, though her lips didn't move. "The signal has been sent. They are coming." The room went cold. Frost formed on the windows. The guards pointed their guns, but they were shaking. One backed away. One dropped his weapon and ran. Even the head scientist whispered, "This is beyond us." In another room, computers began picking up strange signals from space. Lines of data, patterns, numbers that repeated in perfect loops. The scientists called them echoes. But they weren't from Earth. They came from somewhere deep in space, farther than any probe had ever gone. Emily smiled. Meanwhile, Max, her little brother, was having nightmares again. He saw her standing in the stars, surrounded by shadows, with glowing eyes. In the dream, she turned to him and said, "Don't be afraid, Max. I still remember you." When he woke up, He drew the same symbol she had drawn before, a circle inside a square, with two lines crossing it. He had never seen it before. Back at the base, things got worse. Emily no longer needed to speak. Her thoughts began to affect the people around her. One scientist stared at her for too long and went blind. Another started writing the alien symbols on the walls with his own blood. People began to whisper that she wasn't just a girl anymore. She was a portal, a door between Earth and something else. Then the sky changed. All over the world, satellites picked up strange objects entering the solar system. They were dark, silent, and too fast. Governments tried to hide it, but the signal was already spreading. Through radios, phones, even dreams. Anyone who saw the signal started to change. Some went mad. Some heard voices. Some started drawing symbols like Emily's. A new name began to spread across the internet, whispered in secret. The Watchers. The Watchers were coming. They had used Emily as the key. She was the signal, the message. And now, they knew Earth was ready. But not everyone gave up. Max believed his sister was still inside. He remembered her laugh, her music, the way she used to tell him stories at night. He believed part of her was still fighting. So he went looking. With the help of one of Emily's old teachers, a woman who studied ancient symbols, Max began decoding the signs. They found old carvings from centuries ago that matched Emily's drawings. Warnings, hidden in old temples and cave walls. They all said the same thing in different ways. When the sky whispers and the child returns, the gate will open. Max knew what it meant. Emily was the gate. But maybe, just maybe, she could be closed. While the world watched the skies in fear, Max prepared for one last chance to save his sister, even if it meant facing what was living inside her, even if it meant stepping into the darkness himself, because he wasn't just fighting for Emily, he was fighting for the entire world. Max stood outside the hidden base, holding a small device in his shaking hands. It wasn't a weapon. It was a memory reader. Emily's old teacher had built it using the symbols Emily had drawn. It could connect thoughts, and maybe reach whatever was left of her mind. The guards didn't stop him. Most of them were gone now. Some had left after hearing voices. Some had vanished without a trace. The base was quiet. Too quiet, like it was waiting. Max walked down the cold metal hallway. Lights flickered above him. His heart was pounding, but he didn't turn back. He reached Emily's room. She sat inside the glass walls, staring at him. Her face was pale. Her eyes were black, but glowing faintly. The shadows behind her moved even though nothing was there. Max slowly stepped forward and placed the memory reader on the glass. It began to hum. Emily tilted her head. "You shouldn't be here," she said in two voices again, one soft and one deep like thunder. "I'm not here to fight," Max said. "I'm here to find you." The glass shimmered. Max pressed a button on the device. His mind went still, and then everything changed. Suddenly, he wasn't in the room anymore. He was inside her mind. It looked like space, endless and dark. Stars floated around him like dust. Strange shapes twisted in the sky. Voices echoed all around. And in the middle of it all stood Emily. She looked like her old self, hair clean, face warm, eyes soft. She smiled when she saw him. "Max," she whispered. He ran to her. "Emily, you're still here?" But then the shadows returned. Huge, dark shapes with glowing eyes circled them. One of the voices boomed through the stars. "Leave. She is ours." Emily stepped in front of Max. "No, I remember who I am." The shadows hissed. "You can't stop them alone," Max said. "But I can help. Just show me how." Emily looked at him, tears in her eyes. "They're using me like a bridge. If we close the gate, they'll be trapped between worlds. But to do that, I have to burn the signal." "What happens if you do?" She hesitated. "I don't know. I might not survive." Max grabbed her hand. "Then we do it together." The shadows attacked, but this time, Emily fought back. She raised her hand and the stars around them turned red. Light exploded from her body. The alien voices screamed. Max shouted as everything began to shake. The dark world cracked like glass. The signal was breaking. In the real world, the machines around Emily sparked and caught fire. Alarms screamed. The base trembled. Scientists ran, terrified. The sky outside turned strange colors, as if space itself was shifting. Inside the mind, Emily turned to Max one last time. Her voice was calm. "Tell Mom and Dad I love them." Then, with a final breath, she opened her arms, and the light swallowed everything. The signal burned. The gate closed. The watchers screamed one last time and vanished into the dark. Max woke. Up on the floor of her room, the glass was broken, the lights were off. Smoke filled the air. Emily was gone. All that remained was the memory reader, cracked and glowing faintly. She had saved the world, but she had also sacrificed herself to do it. Or so it seemed. Because far above Earth, in the cold darkness of space, something flickered, a shadow with glowing eyes and a whisper. "This is not the end." Weeks passed. The world slowly returned to normal. The strange signals stopped. The dark objects in space vanished. Scientists said it was over. Governments gave no answers. People tried to forget, but Max couldn't. He sat alone in Emily's room, staring at her old drawings. The symbols had faded now. The energy was gone, but the memory of her was still alive. He missed her laugh, her songs, her kindness. He also remembered the last thing she said. "Tell Mom and Dad I love them." They cried when he told them, but they were proud too. Emily had saved the world. One morning, Max woke up and found something. Outside his window, a small circle burned into the ground, just like the ones Emily used to make. His heart raced. He ran outside. There was no one there, just silence, and the circle. Later that day, the lights in his house flickered. The air felt cold. And on his phone, a message appeared, even though it was turned off. "Max, I'm still here." He dropped the phone. It wasn't possible. But then came the knock. 3 soft taps on the front door. His mom opened it and gasped. It was Emily. She looked the same, but not exactly. Her eyes were brighter. Her skin glowed faintly in the shadows. She smiled, slow and calm. "Hi, Mom." They hugged her. They cried. Max held her tight, not wanting to let go. But deep inside, something felt off. She didn't blink much. She didn't eat. She didn't sleep. That night, Max heard her whispering in the dark. He peeked into her room and saw her standing in front of the mirror, talking in a strange language. Her reflection didn't move the same way she did. It was delayed, like it was thinking for itself. She turned slowly. "Max, go to sleep." Her voice was gentle, but something was wrong. The next day, strange things started happening again. Birds flew in strange patterns over the house. The clock stopped working. Phones rang with no caller. Emily began drawing again. But this time the symbols were different, sharper, more dangerous. They pulsed on the paper like they were alive. Max confronted her. "What are you doing?" She looked at him with a sad smile. "I came back, but not alone." Max's eyes widened. "You said the gate was closed." She nodded. "It was. But before it closed, one of them got through." He stepped back, shaking his head. "No, you're not her. You're not my sister." "I am," she said softly. "But I'm also something else now." The truth hit Max like a punch. What came back wasn't just Emily. Something had attached itself to her when she burned the signal. It hid inside her. Quiet. Watching. Waiting. Now it was growing. And it was using her to finish what the others started. She looked at Max with tears in her eyes. "I'm trying to fight it, but I'm not sure how long I can." Max made a choice. He ran to Emily's old teacher, the woman who helped him before. Together, They studied the new symbols. They learned the creature inside Emily wasn't like the Watchers. It was older, smarter, a lone survivor, a seeker. It didn't want to destroy Earth. It wanted to become part of it, to spread, through her, through others. They had to act fast. The teacher created one last device, a small crystal filled with energy drawn from the burned signal. It could pull the seeker out, but it would also pull Emily with it. Max was torn. Could he really lose her again? He returned home. Emily was sitting in the dark, eyes closed, whispering to herself. The shadows around her were moving. He held the crystal in his hand. She opened her eyes. You came to end it. Tears ran down his cheeks. I came to save you, even if it means letting you go. She stood, walked to him, and placed her forehead against his. Thank you, she whispered. He pressed the crystal to her chest. The light exploded. Screams echoed. The air cracked. The ground shook. And then, silence. Emily lay on the floor, still, pale. Max dropped to his knees, sobbing. But then she breathed, slowly, deeply. Her eyes opened. They were brown again. Just Emily. No alien glow, no shadows. She was back, truly back. Max hugged her, holding on as tightly as he could, because this time, she wasn't just the girl who survived. She was the girl who returned and won.